Hi everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today we've got the pleasure of watching Dead For You from the European server playing in their IS This is a weird tank in a way because it's similar to the Chinese tier 7 heavy, which has that kind of like frontal hull with a plate on the front that you can actually ricochet, but very weird kind of like side protection as well. Really, it's Wargaming taking up a fairly popular tank and just making more and more premiums of it so that I guess tank collectors have to be able to get their hands on them, or alternatively can give them out in some kind of event, right? So Dead For You is going to have me saying by the end of this replay, this is World of Tanks, and you're going to have to stay tuned to see exactly why. So the IS-2M, it's this fairly innocent tank. It's got an inaccurate gun, 6 degrees of gun depression, not the best hull armor, pretty bad aim time, pretty bad gun handling, which is why a lot of people would be happy to try and improve that. But Dead For You is actually just going to go for this kind of like full brawling / mobility firepower build, which is durability, gun rammer, and a turbo. So they're just gonna let the gun prey, right? Every shot you feel like you're rolling the dice, but with a steady hand like that, even against a big weak point, you don't have to roll too good to be able to hit a Tiger P, right? So one thing that's interesting in this game is that Dead For You, he just feels like he's got more energy than the rest of us combined, because they're constantly saying, requesting fire at this tank, thank you, fall back, attack this vehicle. And this is really the kind of team player that you want to have with you, at least with a team player with regards to the communication that they have inside World of Tanks. It's very useful to have someone who's looking at the map, engaging the correct target, making the difference in the fight, trying to encourage their team, I guess, to attack. You can see that not only is Dead For You focused on this fight and trying to carry this battle, this side of the engagement, they're also looking at the map and seeing that the medium tanks on the other side are not advancing. And I think Dead For You realizes that they are being overwhelmed on this heavy flank, and there's practically no chance that this heavy flank is going to survive and be able to get through this fight. And so he's trying to encourage the mediums to play. Unfortunately, when they start playing over on the other flank, it doesn't look like it's gone very well. And so I think Dead For You, just that sheer determination and that will to win the battle and wanting to influence it so much that trying to encourage players even on the other side of the map to do the right thing. Now, whether it works or not is another question, right? But at least they have that kind of just that determination, that spirit, you know. And I really feel like that is what World of Tanks is about. It's about trying to do everything that you can to be able to influence the battle to be a win. Some people, on the other hand, they're not so keen on, say, winning the battle. I mean, they'd love to win the battle, but their focus is more, say, doing damage or getting assistance. But in this replay, both of those things are going to come into effect. Not only is Dead For You already up to a very healthy game, nearly an ace tanker for this vehicle, especially in a matchup like this against tier 8, they are not even nearly done with this round. So now they have a Mittlerer cresting over the ridge, and Dead For You is trying to do everything they can to try and keep this Type 59 gold in the game for long enough. But unfortunately, they get shut down by a tier 6 heavy. But luckily, Dead For You, without fully aiming, manages to shut them down and avoids what looks like a possible heat shell from the 122 TM, as we saw that it did explode more on impact. Although maybe I'm just making that up, right? Maybe I'm just making that up. Do heat shells explode a little bit more on impact than AP shells do, or do they both create the same craters? I know HE shells will do more. Considering heat is fairly similar to an HE, there's a possibility, right? Okay, so the North truly has fallen, but luckily Dead For You has a couple of heavy tanks, well, a heavy tank, an M6, and a V39 backing them up. So if they can manage to get a little bit of vision, and they can also get a couple of shots in, maybe they can still hold the enemies back as they're advancing. So with a good shot into the 122 TM, now the VK3601 is going to crest the ridgeline against Dead For You. And it's all starting to look a little bleak, although their hit points are fairly even. Don't know what's come over me. Apologies for coughing, boys and girls. Hopefully I've still got the mic unmuted. But luckily, Dead For You shuts down the Stirrer Mill. And unlike me in this video, that Stirrer Mill looks like they are long dead, right? Although it looks like maybe I'm not long for this world if I keep this up. Alright, Dead for you. Misses the shell on the VK3601. Luckily for him, the M6 deals with the VK3002D that advanced a bit too much. And now Dead for you is looking for the shot on this lower tier heavy tank. Will the VK push forwards? Will the VK fall back? Will Dead for you just go through the turret ring? It is tense stuff right now. They're looking for a shot in the hull. Find a shell right through the barrel, but not before Garmesh and their M6 managed to shut them down. And it looks like Dead for you manages to whiff one of their remaining gold rounds. Okay, cool. So, Dead for you, just a heroic effort in this game so far. 4,500 combined. This would be a good game in a tier 10 tank, let alone a tier 7 heavy in a tier 8 matchup. On definitely not the ideal map, with lots of self-propelled guns on the enemy team. When you're on this map, you really want to have at least 8 degrees of gun depression to work those ridge lines. 6 degrees is incredibly awkward to try and deal with. However, Dead for you, showing me wrong, has actually managed to make it work. However, they're going to have to do a lot more in this game if they want to take down this battle. And that is because the SU-100Y has been spotted on all of their hit points. Dead for you is going to whiff a shell once again. And the poor gun handling on the IS-2M just not coming up sixes. And unfortunately, with the M6 getting spotted and a little bit of bad RNG for probably the first part of this game, Dead for you now loses their M6. And it's them with an artillery against 5 vehicles on the enemy team, including a top tier medium, that 122TM, who is still on half of their hit points. Okay, so in this kind of a situation, can you imagine it mentally? You're in a tier 7 heavy, you've had kind of like a tier 10 impact, and yet your team is still asking for more. So what's the play here? Is it to kind of just chill out, hold back, see what you're going to do? Or is the play right now to try and do everything that they possibly can to be able to get through this battle? Well, if you pick the second answer, then yeah, you'll know Dead for you's kind of character here. So they finish off the Hummel. Unfortunately, there's a Skoda who finishes off the Hummel inside Dead for you's base, and so that now means it's a 1 versus 4 against a higher tier tank. They are outnumbered on hit points by 3-1. There's 2,300 hit points to get through, at least for vehicles that we have recently seen. And we don't know how many hit points that Skoda T25 is on, whether they're on full hit points or after having to engage the artillery, they're going to be on a lower amount here. And in these kind of situations, that can make all the difference. And you don't know because they weren't inside your render distance when they were spotted, because that's all that updates the hit points. So the only thing that Dead for you could be doing right now is trying to communicate with their team to try and find out how many hit points that Skoda T25 was last spotted on. But Dead for you doesn't have that to worry about now, because there's 2 people inside the cap circle and they are just going to go for it. They're going to try and let the chips fall where they may and find out what they're going to engage. They see the 122TM, but they want to get rid of one tank that's on low health. They finish off the SU-100Y, repair their tracks immediately, but unfortunately tank a heat shell from the 122TM. So it looks like they might have been firing heat earlier. Luckily, the damage per minute on this tank makes the 122TM look awful, and so that means they bounce rounds from the T25. Okay, oh no, not like this, boys and girls. Can you believe it? After all of this battle, that's it. That's how the story's going to end. Or is it? No. Dead for you fires up at the cupola and instantly puts their gun back into the barrel of the 122TM, meaning that they absorbed the heat shell and they just took down a tank that required 3 shots when they were a 2-shot in a 1 versus 2 while getting peppered by artillery and getting peppered by a Skoda T25 who was frustrated that they didn't manage to penetrate the first mag, and so they actually decided to load HE there. And luckily the 3rd shell didn't connect. 13 might be unlucky for some, but it looks like it's lucky for Dead for you, as they still have enough hit points to give themselves a chance in this game. And so this is where we just have to hope that that Skoda T25 is going to whiff all of their shells, or alternatively that they have taken damage early on in this battle. Dead for you has got his butt against the wall firmly, trying to avoid the GW Panther, a voracious turreted German self-propelled gun at tier 7 that's very flexible and only needs 1 splash now to be able to get rid of dead for you. But luckily, it looks like the GW Panther has actually been using damaging shells which have less splash, which might mean that they've run out of HE shells, especially in a long game like this of 10 minutes in duration. And so that GW Panther, maybe they don't have any splashing shells left to be able to dig dead for you out. And so now it's a tense moment with 2 minutes left to be able to cap. That Skoda T25 could be plotting their revenge from any angle, and dead for you is scouring the front of thinking, where will he come? Come from the left, come from the right. Where shall I aim? Shall I aim on the left? Is he likely to come from there? Is he likely to come on the right? In this kind of a situation, is it best to be looking left and right? And oh my word, GW Panther from behind with 360 hit points. Hopefully it's a high roll. Okay, no low roll there. That's good. The artillery gets shut down. And now, dead for you is in a 1 versus 1 against the Skoda T25. With the artillery out the game, the Skoda's going to be coming around the corner. Is he going to YOLO it? He does! Oh my goodness gracious, ladies and gents, boys and girls. This is World of Tanks. My goodness. A tier 7 heavy in a less than perfect matchup on a not good map against self-propelled guns, doing 6,500 combined and getting a Radley Walters medal, destroying over half of the team. This was defiant. This was a will to win. Dead for you. I loved how you took down this game, especially that insane clutch heads-up play in close quarters combat to use your barrel to block the shell from the gold spamming heat noob, and then to just quickly aim at the weak point on top of the vehicle to be able to finish it off. That was a thing of beauty. And while sure, dead for you got fortunate with managing to block that heat shell, some people would say that the 122 TM didn't just aim to the left or to the right of the gun. These are the kind of plays that allow you to have epic rounds. Clever use of game mechanics shifts the game into your favor, and that is what makes players like Dead for You truly great at World of Tanks. And there's nothing more dangerous than a great player who just really wants to win the battle as much as Dead for You did in this game. Congratulations, dude. So unsurprisingly, an ace tanker for Dead for You for 2,148 base experience. I think that's probably 50% more than you would need to be able to ace this vehicle. A high caliber for that 6,000 damage. A Radley Walters medal for those 8 kills. A Spartan's medal for ricocheting a shell with less than 10% hit points. A steel wall in this vehicle for actually managing to bounce. Only 840. I think it was more the hit points that kept Dead for You in this game. And just an all-round monster effort. Dead for You, I love this game. This was everything the World of Tanks is about. Lower tier tanks carrying battles in epic ways. Thank you so much for uploading your replay on the WOT Replays website for the community to enjoy. I truly did, and I knew when I saw this game I wanted to feature it on YouTube. And I hope all of you enjoyed this game as much as I did. If you did, then make sure you give the video a thumbs up, and if you hated it, give it a thumbs down. And let me know in the comments down below, when was the last moment when you truly felt like this is World of Tanks? And I'm totally down for the cynical comments as well. Like maybe when you lost 10 games in a row in a run of teams that couldn't fight their way out of a wet paper bag. Anyway, have a great weekend, all of you. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.